We're off to Talk TV now with Chris Philpott at stuff.co.nz, on the box, on the radio, as it were. Check out his blog there at stuff.co.nz. Morning, Chris.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, thanks. First up, we're talking about a show that we mentioned a few weeks back, and possibly about how good it was going to be, but it's been cancelled.
Yeah, well, it's the HBO horse racing drama Luck, which was helmed by David Milch and Michael Mann. Of course, David Milch, the brains behind Deadwood, another fantastic HBO show. And what's happened is they've had a few horse deaths on the set of the show. Now, they had 2 during the first season, and then they were in the middle of producing the second season, and the third horse has died on set as well. So HBO has pulled the plug, claiming that animal safety is their highest priority. They don't want to put any more animals at risk. They just want to get the show cancelled, stop making it, make sure that everything is safe. However, I'm a little bit skeptical of this because Luck was only hitting around 500,000 viewers a week in the States, which is really, really low numbers. You could consider it a flop at that point. And you wonder if HBO would have pulled the plug on something like Game of Thrones if there was 3 horse deaths on the set.
This is true.
Given that, Game of Thrones is a massive hit worldwide, it's picking up 5 or 6 times the audience in its first viewings on HBO. So you wonder if it's just a conveniently timed excuse, really, for HBO to pull the plug on Luck, which isn't doing too well. I feel sorry for David Milch, though, because this is something he has wanted to do for a long time, and now he's kind of lost the opportunity to do it. I don't think anyone else will give him a shot at it. It's kind of the end of a dream for him, I think.
Did you see any of the show? Was it any good?
I watched about 4 or 5 episodes before I finally just threw my hands in the air and gave up on it. It was, I'm not a big horse fan, so there was that going against it from the start. But aside from that, it was just it was all over the place. There was a lot of characters. It was a real ensemble drama, but you got the sense where with other ensembles where it's a really good story and everything's intertwining, in this one all the characters were kind of separate and it felt like they weren't really going anywhere from episode to episode. And then, of course, the other side of it is the show was visually really good, and it seemed like there was more focus kind of put on the visual side of the show than on the actual story writing side of the show. So it was just a little bit off-putting. It took about 4 episodes for me and I was done. I'd seen enough.
Oh, well, that's such a shame. All right. Well, moving on to a huge show. It's just broken more records in the States. The Walking Dead finale this week.
Yeah, The Walking Dead finished up on Sunday night in the US, Monday afternoon here in New Zealand. And there's a lot of reports coming out. Deadline's reporting that the finale drew 9 million viewers, which is a massive number for a basic cable show. Of course, in the States, it airs on AMC, which is a subscription channel. And what happened was that the 9 million basically is up 51% from the season 1 finale, which was breaking records at that time.
Yeah. And
it broke the show's record of 8.1 million viewers, which was the first episode of the second season. That broke the records again from the first season finale of the show. So, this The Walking Dead is a legitimate hit. It's arguably one of the biggest shows on the planet right now. Even though I wrote that it's in a sophomore slump. I think you and I have discussed multiple times that it wasn't as good as the first season, and even so, it's still a massive hit. Even though,
because I think the frustration isn't just from critics; it's just from everyone who watches the show. They're really frustrated with the pace of it, some of the characters, but for some reason, everyone hangs in there, including myself. I watched the finale this week. In fact, I watched 2 episodes last night. The second to last and the final. Almost thought that the second to last could have been the final episode because something major happens in that episode. You think, what could they possibly do beyond that? It was a terrible season. There were some great moments, but there's been enough happening to keep me interested just for one more season. If they come out with another bad season, then that's it for me. But I will hang in there for spring New Zealand time.
Well, you get the sense, I mean, we shouldn't really go into another Walking Dead review. We've done a few in the last few weeks. But you get the sense that the writers and producers on the show know that the second season didn't really hit. So they're already pushing, the third season's going to be brilliant. Here's what we're going to do. They're talking about the problems that people were identifying with the second season openly and saying that that's not going to happen again. So hopefully the third season will be a big improvement. I know the finale set up a couple of major things that we can look forward to there, so it'll be exciting to see what happens.
All right, good stuff. Okay, moving on.
Oh, and one more note on that before we go. John Bernthal, who plays Shane in The Walking Dead, is appearing at the Hamilton and Wellington editions of Armageddon Expo during April. I think it's the 14th and 15th of April in Hamilton, and then the 21st, 22nd in Wellington. So Shane will be at the Armageddon Expo. You should get along and say hi.
And yes, then and shows like that, big shows, don't normally let stars out who might who might say what's coming up in future seasons. Do that.
That's true. That's true.
So that's all I'll say on that.
We'll move on, I think. Then.
Let's look at a new show called Last Man Standing.
Yeah, I've been a little bit perplexed by Last Man Standing in the last few weeks. I wasn't expecting to like it at all. I wrote about this on the blog yesterday that I was kind of pleasantly surprised. It's an entertaining show. It's had me laughing a few times. I mean, it's just good, clean fun. It's not anything too edgy. It's not too smart. It's not a smart comedy or anything, but it's pretty entertaining. And I wrote yesterday that I was pleasantly surprised. What I didn't write yesterday was this idea of nostalgia, which is making the show work. I don't know what your thoughts are on nostalgia, but Last Man Standing is very Home Improvement-esque. Now, you might remember Tim Allen, who is the main star of Last Man Standing, was also the main star of Home Improvement back in the mid-'90s. And Home Improvement, probably one of the biggest comedies of the early to mid-'90s. It was right up there as far as ratings and popularity with Seinfeld and Friends.
True.
But it's very much, Last Man Standing is very much meant to invoke that same kind of, the same feeling, the same love for Home Improvement. The easy nature of the script and the storyline is basically to follow the way Tim Allen interacts with his on-screen wife, the way he's baffled by his kids, the nature of his job on Home Improvement. He was working with tools, and in this one he's working with outdoor equipment. Even the layout of his house is similar to Home Improvement. So everything's meant to make you, I think of Home Improvement. But I wonder if that's a bad thing, because if you enjoyed Home Improvement, you probably would enjoy Last Man Standing. But that goes the other way as well, where if you didn't enjoy Home Improvement, you probably won't even give Last Man Standing a shot. So in a way, the writers are kind of limiting their audience by making it something that is so reminiscent of an older show.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
It makes sense. I guess it sounds to me it's just an older Tim Allen in a Home Improvement show, essentially.
But it's kind of like if Home Improvement Tim Allen had a secret second family in a different city, like that. And I think maybe that's what they should have done. Roten's not even a word. They should have written in that as part of the story. Tim the Toolman Taylor lost his job and divorced his wife, and then moved out to Denver and married again, and had another family or something. It might have made it more entertaining. But I think it's this idea of nostalgia, and I didn't talk about it in the blog, but it's something that I think people are kind of skeptical of anyway, because we don't really know what nostalgia even is. We don't think about nostalgia as something that's a statement on the quality of a show, for example. It's not saying that Home Improvement's good. It's more based on how we felt about Home Improvement, and what effect that has on newer shows or films or songs can be the same as well. Is negligible. We don't know if it even does.
Some things I don't think can be rebooted. Like, can you imagine Different Strokes coming back? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so at all, no. And, but I couldn't have imagined Home Improvement coming back, because you kind of think it's a bit simplistic for nowadays compared to the likes of something like Modern Family or Community or Parks and Recreation. These more intelligent comedies.
People still watch Two and a Half Men, so what does that say?
This is true. It's the biggest show in the world, yeah. And so my faith in humanity is lost once again.
What's coming up this week?
Well, we've got a bunch of new shows starting. So tomorrow night we've got The Finder, which is a spin-off from Bones, about Jeff Stoltz stars as a man who can find things, that's basically the whole premise of the show. Every week he tries to find something for someone. So that's on TV3 tomorrow night, 8:30. On Sunday night we've got Touch, which is the new show from Heroes creator Tim Kring, stars Kiefer Sutherland, of course, from 24, and it seems like Kiefer Sutherland will have the opportunity a few times during Touch to say, "We're running out of time," yelling at the top of his voice.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus as well. That starts on Sunday at 8:30. House moves to 9:30 if you're a House viewer. Enlightened, which is an HBO show starring Laura Dern as an executive who returns to work after a stint in rehab, starts on TV1. That's 10:30 on Sunday. And then we got Southland, which is a critically acclaimed cop show. I didn't really get into the first series, but I know there are a lot of fans out there.
Set in Chicago.
No, it's set in Los Angeles, which is, I guess, close. That starts on 1 at 11 on Monday after the evening news. So that's the second series of Southland there. So some really good shows coming up.
Yeah, what we need is a cop show set in Bluff or something like that. Is that what we need?
Surely someone's made that show before.
Probably.
Where the town cop and he's dealing with, someone stole my garden gnome or something like that. Maybe that's something I could work on, putting together a script for Southland set in Bluff.
It would probably be closer to, what was that American one with it was a good set. It was almost like a reality show about police, but it was a ridiculous comedy. I can't remember. It was kind of like The Office, but for cops.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't remember either. Oh, I was thinking of Heartland, the old British show set in the 60s. Or Heartbeat, sorry.
Heartbeat, yeah.
Yeah, the old British show set in the 60s, which was all small town, Yeah. And it was very quaint. Everything was very quaint. I remember, very twee.
Shark in the Park was a New Zealand one. Shark in the Park. That was a few years ago.
There's a few. Well, we've got one now.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much, Chris. People can check out the blog at stuff.co.nz in the entertainment section. It's called On the Box. Chris Philpott NZ on Twitter.